And welcome back to another episode of Key Factors Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Jones, and we are sponsored by ReviewMyMortgage.com, the largest index of mortgage programs in the nation. And lately on these episodes, we've been talking a lot about real estate, the changes that are coming. Our recent episode, we got to speak with some lenders, and I wanted to change it up a little bit and talk about teams and growing in addition to our market and what's going on and get additional expert opinions. So I'm joined today with two awesome guests. Let me introduce them real quick. I'll let them tell themselves about themselves. So first off, I have Nicole Agüero, formerly Nicole Kelly. Nicole, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. And then I also have Stephanie Stone. Stephanie, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So before we get started and jump into a couple of the topics that we have today, I want to give you guys a moment to tell us who you are, how you came to be. Nicole, you want to start?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not used to talking.
Good morning. Welcome back.
No pressure. Thanks. Well, my name's Nicole. I'm a loan officer here in Texas. I service a lot of first-time home buyers, credit challenge buyers, and those looking for a second opinion. Really, I just am thriving in this market, and I can't wait for 2024 to get super busy again.
I love it. Nicole, so recently you obtained a license in another place similar to Texas, but a little more sunny. What's that all about?
Florida. Yeah, I got one in Florida. So I'm licensed to do residential loans in Florida.
Very
which is really
exciting.
cool. As of yesterday.
That'll be fun.
Yes, I'm excited.
Very good. So Stephanie, tell us about yourself and how you came to be, how long you've been in the industry, all that jazz.
Absolutely. So I've had my license since 2018. When I decided to get my license, I had no plans on going full-time real estate.
Okay.
Kind of happened to me on a whim. I joke that it was my midlife crisis thing, was getting a real estate license. Still feels like a crisis sometimes. But by the end of my first year in real estate, I had closed 19 transactions as a rookie agent, was a top 1% producer by my second year in real estate. Again, I'm a little bit of an introvert, no sales experience. So I'm like, if I can do it, I think anybody can do it. Started a real estate team in 2020 and have been running that team since then. Started a coaching program kind of middle of this year. We have some really exciting things rolling out for our coaching students. So for those agents that are looking for that guidance support, beyond joining a local production team, being able to offer that as well.
Okay, good deal. So you mentioned that you didn't have sales experience prior to. What industry did you come from? What were you doing prior to this?
It'll sound made up, but I worked, it was honestly a big kid job. I had a 401k and everything. I worked for a company that worked with bars and restaurants doing trivia nights. When I got hired on, to run the operation side.
Right.
So I'm that process, procedure, project management side.
Okay.
We grew our number of weekly events from 600 when I started to over 1,200 when I left 5 years later.
Okay.
So it was managing 1,600 gig economy employees. My mission when I got hired was, we want to grow this company, but we don't want to spend any more money. So let's figure out
every company.
Yeah, exactly. How can we make more money without money? And I was like, don't worry, I got you.
TikTok.
Exactly. So that's really where my background comes, is that operations process. How can we work more efficiently? How can we work smarter, not harder? How can we take what we have and amplify it?
Yeah.
Look at the positives of what we're already doing and use that to propel our growth. And I think that's what made me successful in real estate, was that same sort of mindset of, I'm starting from here. What do I have at my disposal and how do I use it to its maximum advantage?
Right. And I guess our ethics, our plan, intertwine. They mesh very well.
Yeah.
Mine, for a different reason, I'm super ADD, ADHD. So everything I do has to be streamlined, efficient, maximize as much as you possibly can. Kind of, let's make some money without money.
Yeah, exactly. We will figure it out.
That's right. So being that you had worked with trivia, what are, I guess, give us a cool trivia fact.
Oh gosh, I didn't write the questions. I made sure that our clients paid on time and had everything that they needed. Man, way to put me on the spot. I'm going to have to think on that.
Okay, I got nothing either. Did you know?
Did you know?
So, as you progressed into real estate, what was, I guess, your initial goal? You jumped in to make more money, to live a different lifestyle. What was the goal there?
Yeah, I wish it was more inspirational than what it actually is. It was. I am that person. I like starting things and building things.
Okay. So you must have loved Legos.
Oh my God. I was that kid that would break things so I could put it back together.
Same.
So for me, it was, I've always been interested in real estate. Like my husband and I were those folks that go into open houses just so we could look at houses that we could never afford, free entertainment. And I was like, this seems like a fun thing. Maybe I'll do something with it. Maybe not. Like I said, when I joke about it being my midlife crisis thing, I was literally about to turn 40 and I go, you know what? You've always wanted to have a real estate license. Why? I have no idea, but let's just see if you can knock this out before your 40th birthday. So it was like a personal challenge more than anything.
Bucket list.
Exactly. And so, again, I wanted to have it and then I would figure it out later. It was that breaking it apart and then we'll figure out how to put it back later. And then about 2 months after getting my license, I had a friend reach out to me who says, I saw that you got your license. There's this house that's been on the market for a year. Can we just go see it? And I was like, that's why I got my license.
Absolutely.
To go into people's house and I won't get arrested. This sounds perfect. And so that turned into my very first deal. She ended up selling the house that she was living in and buying this house. It was the first time that she had bought a house and sold a house. The house that she was living was inherited. So she'd never gone through the process.
Wow.
I had never gone through the process. And I was like, we're going to figure it out together. And then I was like, that challenge was kind of fun. Let's see if I can do it again.
That's very cool.
And that's how I approach a lot of my things is like, let's try it. What's the worst that could happen?
I agree.
And if something great happens, great. And if it doesn't go perfectly, I've learned something from it and we move forward.
That is a great mindset to have. I believe that I'm coaching to that aspect every single day. It's not about the failures. It's if you learn from the failure or not. They can be small failures or huge failures. I personally have had huge failures and I fail daily. I think my number one goal is to fail at least once a day. Because it means that I'm growing. I'm continuing to tread waters that I had never been through. But at the end of the day, the worst thing that can happen is you learn from it.
Exactly.
Because that's the worst thing in my mind. In other people's minds, the worst thing can happen is the failure. And then that's that.
And that's the end of it. You know, perfection is a lie. You know, I tell my agents, you know, when we watch the Spurs and they shoot 58%, we're like, check them out, 58%, which means that they failed, you know, 42% of the time. And we're like, that was a great game. So why are we expecting us to hit it at 100% each and every time? It doesn't make any sense.
That's a great analogy. I mean, it's sad that you brought up our Spurs, but
until I die, I will love them forever and ever.
Yeah, we're kind of like blind fans, like the Cowboys. I don't know if you're Cowboys.
We're gonna get canceled.
That's okay. But to that point, it's I don't know, something that you probably didn't know you were inspiring others until it actually happened.
Yeah.
Right. And then from there, you decided to build a team.
Yeah.
I want to get into that.
Sure.
I think that's something that I haven't had the opportunity to speak about. Nicole has been on my team before. She's gone off on her own to do her own thing. Fantastic. And I'm still there as a support system for her. But what was that like? What made you decide to grow the team instead of continuing to do it on your own? Obviously, and let's be frank, it's more money if you do it all on your own.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? There's no secrets there, but the idea is, how do I find a way to duplicate myself so that I can do more of what I do best, not all of the things?
Right.
So at your, I guess, progression after the first 2 years, because you said you got in 2018, 2020, it's time to build the team.
Yeah.
That happened pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So what was that like? What made you decide?
Yeah, good question. So as I was building my solo business, you know, I had agents coming to me going, I'm kind of watching what you're doing. And so I always come from, I want to help. You know, if somebody's struggling, let me see what I can do. If somebody's having a hard day, let's see how we can move past it. And as I was continuing to do that, and, you know, again, servant heart, but also I was like, I'm doing this for free. How do I continue to do what I'm drawn to, which is helping other folks, helping agents. Like I said, I like building stuff.
Yeah.
And so now when I have agents on my team or agents that I'm coaching, it's like I get to help build all these little businesses without me having to start my own new business. So it gave me that opportunity to help someone else build and bridge that gap between where they were at and where they wanted to go without me sacrificing the time and the energy that I need to be able to pay my bills and, and sustain, what I'm looking to do. So, I had become a trainer and a coach with our brokerage at the end of 2019. And there were folks that I was working with. I was like, I like your work ethic. I like your approach. You're getting it. And technically, after their third deal, I'm going to push them out of the nest and they go fly on their own. I'm not saying there are some folks that I want to continue to work with. I think after deal number 3, we're just hitting that, like the beginning of that crest. And if they're wanting to continue to amplify, I think I can get them there. So it really started out of the folks that the brokerage had assigned to me to work with, and then cherry picking those folks. And from that, we started to get agents coming to us going, hey, I need help. Hey, I'm struggling. Hey, I've been in this business for 2.5 years and I've closed 1 deal in 2.5 years. I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
And so, they're coming to us to answer that question.
Right.
So that's really where it came from, was identifying those folks that needed help, identifying those folks who I think were coachable.
Sure. That's a great point.
And then, continuing to add from there. And we started off with myself and 3 other agents on the team. We are now at 33 agents. We just launched into Houston a few months ago. So really continuing to expand what we're able to do for agents.
That's awesome. Now, another question. In regards to adding someone to your team, and you mentioned some of these folks that closed 1 deal, how do you foresee, or how do you feel out if they are a good fit for your team? Simply because if, for me, you've got an agent that just closed 1 deal, my question to them is, what the hell have you been doing with your time?
Yeah, and the other 23 months when you didn't have something in escrow, what does that look like?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and we ask those questions of, what have you tried? Like, walk us through what your average day, your average week, your average month looks like. I have to know that they have goals in mind. When I get an agent who just goes, I don't know, I just want to do more. I was like, well, that's not concrete enough. They have to be able to see it, feel it, hear it, smell it. It has to feel tangible. A lot of it for me is gut instinct. I will be the first one to admit that when we first started the team, that I was, come along, we'll figure it out together. Yeah, anybody. And as I've worked with agents, not only on the team, but also as a trainer and a coach, picking up on those red flags are becoming clearer and clearer.
Yeah.
I can smell an excuse from a mile away. Oh, well, it's been really hard because of the market. And I was like, okay, well, that's not it. Or I only want to do this one thing and I'm not willing to expand.
Right.
I'm not willing to go outside my comfort zone. So recognizing what I know I can do to help, because I know I'm not the right team lead for everybody. I know I'm not the right trainer for everybody. I know I'm not the right coach for everybody, but recognizing where are we speaking that same language, and where I can go, I can very clearly see what I can do. And if they'll just meet me halfway, I know we're going to find success.
I like that. Can I fill your gaps, your voids? And can you do the same for me, to be honest?
Yeah.
So, Nicole, this one's for you. I know you've been working with the Stone team for quite some time now, and I have seen a tremendous, I don't know, it's like a osmosis thing. You guys are radiating what you preach there. Nicole practices some of it.
Absolutely.
It's almost as if she has 2 mentors, one here and one there. And I love that. But for you, Nicole, how are you seeing the benefits of Stephanie's leadership in her agents? Because Stephanie doesn't work with her agents on every single deal. There's no way she could. If she did, why she have a team, right? What are you seeing?
The biggest thing that I'm seeing with the agents that I work with who are on the Stone team is their confidence and their eagerness to ask questions. So during the process, I'm like, hey, they're approved. These are the details. They make sure to ask questions. And I'm like, I've heard these questions before. I've seen this before. I was like, so it's working. And during the process, during the transaction, they know exactly what milestones to hit every week. They're checking in. And I'm like, wow, this is nice because, unfortunately, and I don't want to speak poorly on agents by any means, but there are agents out there who just
We can speak poorly about the poor agents.
Yes, absolutely. Because we can do a whole show on that.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
There are so many agents out there who just treat deals like spaghetti, and they just throw it on the wall, see if it sticks, and if it falls out, it's my fault every single time.
Wondering where the heck is she going with this again? But that made perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like the agents on the stone team, they're like, okay, well, let's find a solution. Hey, you can't do it. No offense to you. Let me go get a second or even a third opinion. I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
You're working for it. I was like,
hungry, yeah.
100% respectable. And they're hungry, they're determined, and they're 100% disciplined.
That's awesome.
And then you can tell the ones that are kind of falling off. And then later on, I'm like, hey, what happened to so-and-so? And they're like, oh, well, they got a part-time job or they just quit real estate. And I'm like, oh, okay, makes sense. Because, when I'm as a loan officer taking calls with clients at 8 p.m. and then I'm not getting the same return, it's very frustrating.
Sure.
Because it's like, we are a team. I am not under you. You are not under me. We are a team, and you can't have this deal without me or me.
Right.
I most likely wouldn't have this deal without you.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We got to work together. We got to drive. We got to do the dance, and we got to support each other.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I think Stephanie preaches 100%. And I still to this day will go to her trainings when I'm feeling some type of way, and I'm like, okay, that's what I need to do. So got to get on
awesome. Yeah,
So-
and I appreciate you for continuing to be consistent with those types of things. So going back to the team concept, how was it in your mind to build a team knowing, or at least trying to make sure that you provide enough value to them consistently?
Oh, good.
That's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah. I will be the first one to admit that when I started my team, I think I sold myself short.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that, it's the same thing that agents experience, a little bit of that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
You mentioned, wow, that was a quick transition from being solo agent to starting a team. And so that was also something that I told myself, and I'm like, have I earned my wings to be able to do this? Have I earned the clout to be able to do this? So, there's a lot of things early on where I wanted to provide so much and not even financially, but not take in return.
Right.
Whether it was my time so I said yes to everything. And, I jumped anytime somebody said, anytime somebody said how high. And, again, that was a learning experience as well of going, it has to be sustainable. So over the last, 2.5 years since this team has existed, we have changed quite a bit. I have found the things that my agents ask for, and that's something that I'm constantly asking them. What are the things that we do that you find are valuable? What are the things that we're not doing yet that you would like, whether I can do it or not?
Sure.
I just want to know. And then where can we meet in the middle?
Just keeping a pulse on that.
Exactly. And then also recognizing the type of support that I provide, or the type of training that I provide, or, kind of practicing what I preach, or what are the things that we can roll out to our agents that echo that completely. So, again, I'm that operations efficiency. How can you do in 1 hour what it would take another agent to do in 4 hours? And so what are the tools and systems that I can invest back into that's going to amplify that?
I love that. Do you mind speaking about some of those tools and systems? Because
Absolutely.
That's just something that I'm huge on. Our brain, in my opinion, isn't for remembering. I just happen to have a good brain that remembers most, but it's for solving problems.
Yeah.
And when you have the ability to solve those problems, you run out of space. So you got to find systems that work that you can then fall back on.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that we invested in, this was, I think, middle of last year, was a dedicated transaction coordinator.
Okay.
And I've always been a big fan of transaction coordinators. If you're a solo agent and you have more than 3 deals in escrow at any given time, it is money well spent.
Sure.
And so we had to change what our team split looked like and what was coming into the team. But I can go.
Now, why was that, Stephanie? Why did you have to change the team split, the comp, the things of that nature?
Yeah.
This is a topic that we spoke about on the previous episode on the mortgage side.
Right.
It's like, you want an assistant? Great. Let's see what that looks like.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really what it was. The money that we were bringing into the team it was almost 100% getting reinvested. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm back to now working for free.
Right.
And that is something that, number one, shouldn't do, but also too is like, I'm going to end up getting burned out. I'm going to end up being able to provide less of myself to my team. So in order for me to continue to grow and be a better support system for them, I need to not worry about how do we keep the lights on. And so it became this, this trade-off of, look, I can provide these things that answer these headaches that you have as an agent. And in exchange, here's some trade-offs that we can do. So that's really what it came down to. And thankfully, the agents I had on the team, when we broke down the numbers, it really showed the value of what that was. And I think when you can show the value, both in a practical sense and sometimes in a numerical sense, it'll click for folks. So that was a number one, was let's get a dedicated transaction coordinator who can, an amendment needs to be written. You can call her, you can text her, she'll take care of it so you can focus more on those high value activities.
Absolutely. Now, the goal with that, and pause for just a moment, that's tip number one from Stephanie Stone. But the goal in that is to utilize someone else so that you can get back to the high value, needle moving, income producing activities that you should be doing to get that transaction coordinator more busy.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Some of the other things that we have invested in since launching the team are tools for prospecting.
Okay.
So, I'm a big make phone call kind of whether it's your sphere of influence, whether it's your database. I don't care. You've got to have conversations. You've got to have conversations. You've got to talk to folks.
It's like deja vu.
It's accumulating as many contacts as you can and having as many conversations with them as you can. So we have dialers where it'll do triple line dialers. It'll call 3 numbers at a time. When one connects, it'll connect that call. So that is a literal.
Okay. So how do you feel about leads, lead generation, things of that nature, to where I've been focused on lead generation since day one, utilizing social media, one of the first ones in 2012 to do something like that, the closing pictures, all that stuff. And eventually was able to turn it into a revenue stream by way of providing those to agents.
Right.
Then fast forward, building different tools, learning how algorithms work, learning how different ads work, and forms and landing pages and building websites. And there were things like Boomtown, Sync Agent. What are some other ones? The lead generator, I don't want to say the Z word, but all of those came out. Do you guys partake in any of that stuff?
Yeah. So all of the things that I teach my agents when it comes to lead generation, and truth be told, I hate that term because it sounds like some sort of other thing.
Correct.
Where it's really just how many people can you connect with?
Right.
So we don't pay for
the purpose of.
Exactly. So I am not a fan of paying for those direct lead programs, because I'm also of the mindset it's the same people that I'm going to be talking to on social media. It's the same people that'll be walking into an open house. It's the same people that if I pulled 500 phone numbers in a specific neighborhood that you're going to be calling. They're all the same people. But agents tend to think because you spent money on it or you went through this specific company that has really good marketing, that there's somehow a different tier or a different species of people.
Sure.
It's just people. So I tell my agents, everything that you do will work, and it'll all not work depending on how much you focus on it.
I like that.
So if you want to go social media, great. Let's develop a social media strategy that speaks your language, that speaks to your personality, that speaks to who you see your target as, and go all in.
I like that.
100%. If you are open house, great. You should be doing as many open houses as you possibly can to connect with as many people as you can, and recognizing they are the exact same people.
Yeah.
And where the money really comes in is how well you can build and maintain that relationship.
Yeah.
Deals don't happen overnight. Gosh, I wish they did.
Oh my God.
If every lead that I had in my database closed a deal, I'd be out the door. I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
We just podcast now.
Yeah, exactly. I tell my agents the longest that I ever went from first connecting to somebody to getting to the closing table was like 19 months.
Wow.
And so recognizing that the reason why they stuck with me is because I continue to check in. Hey, how's it going? I hope you'll have a happy holidays. Hey, I saw on Facebook that it was your daughter's birthday. I hope you had a fun time. Really caring about people at the end of the day is what is going to make you successful. So I don't see the need to pay money to be genuinely curious about people. And it's really about getting myself out there, letting people know who I am, not only as a real estate agent, but just as a person.
Yep.
And
what you're about.
Exactly. And the people who want to work with somebody like me are going to come to me, just like, agents. I'm not the right team for everybody, but the ones who get it. The ones who speak my language, we probably speak the same language, and then just loving on those folks.
I'm going to piggyback on something that you mentioned, and I preach it quite often. It has relations to social media and things of that nature. It's, if you're posting, you need to be posting you.
Yeah.
What you do, what you like, what you listen to, what you're doing, because people do business with who they know, like, and trust.
Right.
Not necessarily the old way of, I'm a mortgage lender or I'm a realtor. Well, they've got plenty of those on their feed. What makes you different? I am going to push back a little bit on the concept of leads, because I feel like your concept starts once you touch the customer in regards to showing them your value, who you are, who you want to work with, all that good stuff. But I have a philosophy that goes, well, something like this. If we only did business with our friends, we'd all be broke.
Oh, 100%.
So we've got to find people that we don't know that we can now add value to their lives.
Right.
And the people online and increasing every day because of social media, because of internet, because people are scared, so they hide behind their phones.
Absolutely.
These are customers or would-be customers that would otherwise have never walked in an open house or never commented on a social media post. They're looking behind the scenes. Ever since we launched Review My Mortgage, it's helped educate me and open my eyes to, wow, there are a ton of people that just want to know their options, but don't want to speak to a loan officer yet. Right. So that, taking exactly what you said, a little bit of my philosophy, and powerhouse, right?
Yeah. We should do a podcast together.
I love it. Now, for you, Nicole, you have been working with them with leads and buyers. And I think one of the reasons why you guys are so successful, I'm talking about you and the rest of your agents that she works with, is the price point and type of borrower that you guys are working with. And I say that loudly and proudly because everybody else in the market is whang about how there's no business out there. And that's just not the case. I believe that the business has shifted to those that could not buy before. They were getting beat in multiple offer situations. Maybe their credit was challenged. Many different facets of that. But you guys tend to, attract those people, and you're able to help them. What is that like? I can see it, and I'm helping with it, but what are you feeling? What are you seeing?
Well, what I'm feeling is exhausted, but it's heartwarming whenever you see them at the closing table. I just had one with Kendall last week, and she was like, you can't post it yet because he's got to tell his girlfriend, and it's this huge thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, melting, completely melting. Yeah. But the biggest thing that I've seen, and I'm glad that you touched on that, because a lot of agents, when I tell them, I get off the call with the buyer, I get them so excited. They think it's the coolest thing in the world. They can buy a home. And I call the agent. I'm like, they're approved. And the next question is, for how much? And I'm like, 150. And they're like, I'm not going to find anything. I don't experience that with the agents because they're like, okay, game on, let's go. Or a lot of the times, they get approved for 250, but they want a $1,300 payment. Agents on the Stone team understand the value of listening to their clients, listening to the buyers, and understanding that you putting them in a $250 home with a $1,300 a month payment is going to cause problems. You're not going to get that listing most likely in 3 years when they want to sell because you didn't listen to them.
Right.
But then when you are up for the challenge and maybe you work with them, because real estate agents and buyers have a different kind of trust and relationship. We're the bank. Nobody.
You're right.
We're not sexy.
That's right.
They want to kind of hide
speak
behind.
for yourself. Right?
Okay. But, then they lead these conversations to the real estate agent where they're like, hey, what would I get for like $1,500 a month? And then that's when me and the agents, I treat my agents as if they're my best friends because gosh dang it, when you're calling me at 8 p.m. because you want to update the search, I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
There was someone had said it that if you work with people that you look at your phone when they call and go, oh gosh, you're not going to have a good time.
Right.
You're not going to want to answer that call. It's going to be painful and you're going to spiral. So for all of the agents that I work with, I just think everything is the coolest because it is. We have approved buyers in this market. That's more than a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll take 10 of those 150 instead of one of those 500,000
absolutely.
every single time because that impact is going to be greater.
One thing that I have noticed, and this is to toot your horn, is the agents, we've never done a deal, but we've done plenty of deals with your agents. Yeah. And the ability for us to set proper expectations goes such a long way with them. They don't second guess what we're telling them.
Right.
Whereas we'll have other agents, and I can't speak for the other agents as to why or anything like that, but it's always are you sure? Like, you're asking me the same question that I've given the answer to and told you why it's got to be this.
Yeah.
And you're still second guessing. Agents on the Stone team, they take that as gospel and then they set the right expectations moving forward, which then turns into a much smoother transaction all the way around when you don't have people that are still scheduling their moving trucks, even though they know the people scheduling are missing those documents.
Right.
It's like, guys, why would you schedule the movers knowing that we need your next pay stub?
Yeah.
The other thing I want to touch on too is I'm very transparent with my agents. Hey, we have a credit issue. Yeah. They're working on this. Let's hold off because I want this process to be seamless instead of just saying, hey, they could go shopping. I'm not sure how this is going to pan out. Yeah. Let's cross our fingers because nobody is going to be happy during that transaction. I'm not going to love when the agent's calling me 2-3 times a day. Hey, do you have an update? Hey, do you have an update? Hey, do you have an update? Go get more leads. Yeah. And I promise you beyond anything, you are the first call I will make as soon as we can pull the plug.
Well, I think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that belief, that philosophy comes from having gone through the other side, seeing the other token, seeing a deal fall apart that was probably in the beginning said that they're not ready, but they still pushed over it. And then, that wasn't ready. So now it's blowing up. And me as the agent, I'm now under fire. Yep. The buyer's in a tough spot, seller's in a tough spot versus setting those expectations, taking it as gospel and allowing that buyer to have a real experience, because that's what it should be. It should be an experience that they can tell mom and dad about, tell their brothers and sisters about, tell their friends at the housewarming party who helped them get into that home and how difficult it was up front, but how smooth it was once they started.
And what's that phrase that you say? You come from a point of not from...
movie quote?
No. Where you come from, like bountiful, not bountiful, but...
abundance.
When you come from a point of abundance instead of... Scarcity.
Absolutely.
The whole process is different.
Yes.
Your business, your outlook, your clients can feel it, and the trust between your business relationships. If you come from abundance, even if there's not an abundance, if you come from abundance and you believe that through and through, everything is going to run its course. And we just keep being consistent with the things that got us to where we got the one deal. Just because we have one deal, we need 5 more to back up. We need to keep
makes
going.
Me super proud that you said that, and that it allows us to kind of have a conversation about the concept of abundance versus scarcity. Even though there are times that others can't see the abundance, the mindset of having abundance takes over. The ability to know that, all right, if I do this, this, and this, there will be deals that come.
Yes.
And those things are what we discussed, your needle moving activities, your, what do you guys call them? CSFs?
Critical success factors.
There you go. Your money making moves. Makes sense.
You know, my first year in real estate, like I said, I closed 19 transactions, but my average home price was $161,000. Of those 19, the only deals that I did where I didn't know them ahead of time, or where I knew them ahead of time, was that first friend with the buy and sell. So complete strangers that I had to build that trust. What I heard over and over, I think also of those 17 stranger deals, 14 of them had some sort of down payment assistance. Okay. So you want to talk about, let's bring on those challenges. And what I heard over and over from those folks was, you know what, Stephanie, you're the first person who didn't tell me no. You're the first person who didn't say, go fix your life and then come back when you're better for me as an agent when you're going to make my life easier. When agents go, I've got these folks and I sent them to lender and they all have, credit issues. And I can see on their face that they're like, why do I not have a deal right now? And I was like, oh, I love the credit challenge.
Bring it on.
Bring it on, because those are the folks who will be so grateful and will follow you to the ends of the earth. I had one client who I closed 3 of her like friends, family, coworkers before we ever were able to get her like truly shopping and making offers on houses, because they're like, this is the person who will listen to you. This is the person that won't judge you when you have something challenging. This is the person who will sit down and go, it may not be a yes, but it's definitely not a no. It's just a not yet.
Not yet.
We're going to get you there. And whether it's a month, 3 months, 19 months, like that one VA buyer that I had who had so much to work on, but we got there. And I am more proud of those than my easy 720 credit score, $80,000 in the bank. Let's get you close. I like the challenges because it really gives me an opportunity to solve a problem. And that's really why we get paid what we get paid.
Thank you
it's not
much.
To unlock a door.
No, it's not.
It's not to go to title and take the photo with the big key. It is to come in and solve problems and help people do exactly what they want to do.
And I think that is what a lot of the agents that are scared or complaining about the potential changes that are coming in way of buyer agency, things of that nature. You're focusing on the wrong things. Instead of focusing on a way to build a recession-proof business, which is helping everybody, no matter what their circumstance, setting the expectations, putting them on plan, getting them with the right lender, putting the right resources in front of them that help them succeed to open doors, because it's not necessarily the door that they're buying that gets them the home. It's plenty of doors prior to that that makes it happen. But I don't know, the doom and gloom that we're seeing with all the changes coming along, and we don't know what they are.
Nope.
But what I can tell you is most, if not all, top producers could care less.
Yeah, I'm not scared.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've seen that throughout the folks that I've had conversations with, the agents that I work with. And it's very motivating that it's like, okay, guys, we're going to make it through this regardless.
Right.
Why? Because we solve problems.
Yeah.
We've solved problems that most probably didn't even know they had.
Yeah.
But good news is you're with us now. Right?
Yeah. So you're telling me that agents are freaking out about problems that we don't even know what is happening yet?
Oh, yeah.
That's wild, because kind of like when the interest rates happen, we're still closing deals. We're still closing on homes. The world still is spinning.
Yeah.
So everything is going to be fine.
It's so
and
true.
maybe that's a rose-colored glasses outlook to this, but at the end of the day, you adapt and overcome and move on, because this is your career. It's not an option. It's not a plan A. It's not a plan B.
Right.
It's a plan A, and that's the only plan. So let's just figure it out.
And you said something there that I think should be repeated, and repeated in a different way. This is your career. And what I mean by repeating that is this your career? And I should say, is this your career? And what I mean is you need to look yourself in the mirror a few times to go, all right, times are getting tough. Is this something that I was destined to do and cut out for doing? Do I have to grit to do this? Or was it something that I was just in it for the money when it was easy? Yeah.
What?
I wasn't in the industry in 2008.
Same.
But there are agents who were, and they're still here. And there were agents that were and dropped out. Oh, yeah. So if things were going to just, real estate isn't going to exist ever in our life, and we're going to become redundant, and the sky is falling, that this would have happened multiple times throughout our history. And we are still here. Things change and grow and adapt. Last month in the San Antonio market, we had just over 2,400 properties closed, which tells me that there was, give or take, 4,800 commission checks that were issued in just the San Antonio market in 30 days. You just need to be one of them. And so if it's the market sucks, this lawsuit thing, I can't do this. I can't do this because of these external factors, like acting like your business is happening to you. Take a look at what's actually closing and going, how could 4,800 people do it, but I can't? What is missing? And sometimes it is that looking inward or recognizing What did I do and what didn't I do? What shots did I take and what shots didn't I take?
That's right.
One of the first things that I do with our agents when they come on board is I ask them, okay, how much do you want to make in a year? How many days a week, weeks of vacation do you want? And I figure out their dollar per hour worth. And then I go, okay, you are both your employer and your employee at the same time. With what you're supposed to be making per hour and what you did over the last week, would you issue that paycheck happily? Or would you go, I need to fire that person because I'm paying them how much for what?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to look yourself in the eye. And for a lot of folks, it's a light bulb moment of like, oh, I'm telling myself I'm going to pay myself $230 an hour. What did I do with that $230 an hour?
What did I do with that hour?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And be like, oh, I would fire myself. And great.
I love that.
Turn yourself into an employee where your boss would happily give you, employee of the month each and every week. You got to come in with that sort of energy.
And I think the first step in that, I love that process. We do the same thing here. It's backing into your numbers, figuring it out in reverse form.
Yeah.
If it takes X amount of closings to get your dollar amount,
Right.
how many phone calls do you need to make? How many apps do you need
Exactly.
to take?
Daily, weekly, monthly. And are you hitting those metrics? Yeah.
Yeah. And the concept of, are they being honest with themselves?
Yeah.
Is what comes to mind, because a lot of folks can go through the motions of that and justify it based on, I don't know, a falsehood of expectations that were set in a time when everything was simple.
Yeah.
Everything was so easy.
A house will fly off the market in 2.5 seconds with
There you
75
go.
offers. Yeah.
Yes. And all of a sudden I've got all this value.
Yeah.
Are you being honest with yourself?
Mhm.
Is one of the things that comes to mind with that.
Yeah.
So I want to do something a little different.
Cool.
And I think I'm going to continue this at least weekly when we do these episodes. I want to pull up a couple of articles, current events, and talk about them and get you guys' opinion on some of these things. Two of the things that I found are a bit contradictory, but contradictory for a reason. Okay, so I'm going to play this quick video, about 3 minutes long, and this is from Barbara Cochran. We all know who Barbara is, and if you don't, shame on you, but here we go.
What a 20-year highs, though they are coming down, and they have been consistently for the last few weeks. So what do you say? Is it a time to buy?
It's a good time to buy, but I always say that, so you probably don't believe me much. But things aren't going to get any better for home buyers. If interest rates continue to come down, as they will, and everyone's expecting it, prices will go up. So if you're going to wait a while and buy something a year from now or 6 months from now, when prices hit 7%, the whole world's going to be out there competing with you. You'll be paying more for your home.
And we have a question from a first-time home buyer on Instagram, Krista. Her question is, how is it even possible for a young couple to buy their first home in this market? Are we better off waiting it out?
Well, starter homes are the worst part. It's the hardest thing to go out and buy a new home if you're just getting started. But waiting it out doesn't make any sense. But what you should do is find yourself a great broker who knows how to hustle, because there's always a deal to be had. There's always a deal to be had. No exceptions to that rule. And then on top of that, you have to get pre-qualified for your mortgage. So you go into the market as an all-cash buyer. You're on equal footing with everybody else if you have the financing already set from the bank.
You say that rates are going to continue to come down. How low?
Nobody knows. You want me to take a guess? Probably 6%. Most people are saying 6%. But again, 6% is a problem because prices will go up.
Okay, how about selling? And if you do sell, is there any way you can keep your mortgage rate when you buy the new home?
I'd like to figure that out. No possible way. And that's what's wrong with the market. Everybody's stalled. Nobody wants to sell.
No.
And so what's more important when you're buying a house, the price or the mortgage rate?
Neither. The monthly payment is everything. People want to know, what can I afford this month? That's all that counts. So interest rates and prices have a way of coming together and making that happen.
How about the renting side? Where do you see rates going on that?
The rents have been great for a year. They've only gone up a tiny bit. And then this next year, no one is expecting them to go up at all. So it's a good time to rent. But I always say, you got to get in the game. You got to buy something so you have something to trade up on as you move up the ladder.
You got to be in it to win it.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Oh, we talked about the Fed meeting this week.
Yeah.
What impact do you think it could have on the market?
It's not going to have any. No one's expecting them to do anything until middle of next year, when rates will come down more slowly than you think. It's good to remember right now that interest...
That being the case, what are your thoughts on that, ladies? Say something.
Go for it.
First of all, even when rates were 3%, 4%, 2%, there was always something for buyers to complain about. Like when they were buying a home, it wasn't just, okay, yeah, give me this home. It was, I feel like I deserve more. And so when it comes to the first time couple buying their first time home, you need the biggest thing I preach is, what is your monthly budget? What does it look like for you? What do you need, which is the real estate agent side, to take them out shopping? And let's find that. You might not be living in Stone Oak for your first home.
Right.
You might be in a, there's a give and a take, but your first one is your first stepping stone. And I always go back to my husband's first home, $88,000, which now sounds like a chump change. But also at the same time, his income at that time, it was the top of his budget. But he did it because he knew the value of it, sold it 2 years later. And then same thing with the next house, sold it 4 years later. Now look where we are,
Right.
coming up on 4 years in our home. And it serves a purpose.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing is people say, hey, this is my forever home. I guarantee you it's not. So let's just slow down, get into something that fits your needs, makes you feel safe, and then sell it. Do what you need to, and then upgrade later.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you say that we as professionals are not either setting proper expectations, or are we not painting the right picture, or are we not putting this buyer in the place that they should be in when they bring all of this outlandish Facebook, TikTok, Instagram logic to the table?
My cousin who dropped out of high school posted the thing on Facebook, and I'm going to listen to that instead. Yes. I think it's a combination of all three. I think one of the things that especially newer agents, or those agents that are kind of struggling with their career, we refer to it as commission breath.
Yeah.
And it's, I want to tell them what they want to hear versus having a true and honest conversation.
Yes.
And so when we can come in and ask really good questions of, okay, what are the things that have to happen? What are the things that it would be cool if it had, but it's not going to rock your world,
Right.
if it doesn't. I'm also that monthly payment. I tell my agents, don't go, what price point? Because especially our newer buyers, or our buyers who bought when they were at 2-3%, it doesn't translate.
No,
We're
it does
asking them
not.
to do math that they shouldn't be doing. What are you comfortable with for a monthly payment? Hey, if you're renting right now, what are you paying right now? Do you feel that there's wiggle room? Are you struggling month over month? I need to know how it feels to you right now, and what are we looking to do beyond that? Again, reminding my buyers, this is not the house you're going to die in.
Right.
You're 24 years old. Your kids aren't bringing the grandkids to this house.
Right.
You'll be 4 or 5 houses down the road. And then also,
And if they do, it's to collect rent from the tenants.
exactly, from your grandkids who are
That's
renting
right.
from you.
Yeah.
And reminding, I think when we can provide anecdotes of, hey, I had a client that did this thing. I love using kind of my
Same.
home buying story. I talked about when I first wanted to buy a house, I had a 510 credit score. So come at me, credit challenge
right.
buyers. The first house that my husband and I bought together, and we moved back from Dallas, a little 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. It fit our needs. We lived there for 19, 20 months, sold that house, and I walked away with 18 grand in my pocket to move to the neighborhood that we had been dreaming of living in forever and ever. And then I asked, especially my renters, when the last time that you moved out of your last rental, how much did you walk away with? And a lot of them are like, I didn't even get my security deposit back. And I'm like, girl, same. So knowing that you could move out of your rental and walk away with 14,000, or stay in your true rental and go, I guess I got to start from scratch at the beginning. Which one makes more sense? We do get those buyers who are, I'm renting a 1-bedroom apartment right now, and now I want to move to a 5-bedroom with a pool and a 3-car garage. And I'm like, that sounds amazing to me too. If we can't do that, where can we meet in the middle?
Right.
What is the plan if we don't do that? Is it to stay in that 1-bedroom apartment? Would a 3-bedroom, 1-bath that's maybe the same, or a little bit more square footage, as you add those other extra bedrooms, would that work for you? Is that a move up?
Mm-hmm.
And so just reminding them that we are stair stepping
Right.
up. We're not going from ground zero to the peak of Mount Everest in a blink of an eye. We've got to make that march along the way. And so when we can get them going, oh, okay, I get that. And when I tell them, I sold my house in 19 months, you don't have to live in it forever.
Correct.
You don't have to plan so far in the future. You could be like me and move every 2 years, which is wild. I don't recommend it.
We've been there way too long.
Yeah, I've been there 3 years, and I'm already ready to go do something else. That you have that option.
Yes.
You're not stuck there. This isn't forever, but look at what it's going to set you up for.
Absolutely.
That I had this, $15,000 that I could play with and really come in and get what I wanted.
Correct.
Double my house value. And then when we sell this and we'll get another 40 grand, now look what I can do,
Yes.
or, how it makes things easier for me. And so just reminding them that this is, like when you got your very first job, you weren't going to be, flipping hamburgers forever or delivering pizzas. Now you're the manager of the store, and now you get to work from home. It's about progression.
Levels. And I think that if you are going into something with improper expectations, if you are going, they say start with the end in sight.
Yes.
So if you, as the realtor expert mortgage lender, are not able to give real life expectations to your borrowers, what are you there for?
Right.
And the reason why I say that is there's been times when Nicole, I do a lot of the speakerphone with borrowers so that they can all hear me talk to the borrowers directly. And there will be some times where I'll get off the call and they're like, holy cow, I can't believe you just told him no. Yeah, because the alternative is somebody's going to tell him yes, and then he's going to fall on his face because that's not the true answer.
Right.
Or setting that, hey, you came to me to buy 200, but you're only qualified for 170. Let's get you to understand and wrap your head around the first home, not your last. There's equity to be built, opportunity that you're going to miss out on. And if you wait any longer, that 170 is now going to be 165.
Yeah, exactly. And providing options, I think, is a great way. We can't get that 5-bedroom home, but we can do this, or we can do this. Which one works better for you? Or, we've had conversations with borrowers. Right now, you're approved for 200, but if you pay off that credit card, we can get you up to 225.
Yeah.
Do you want to make that payment to play with your DTI, or do we want to do this? Which one works better for you? I know you want that $900 3-bedroom house. Do we have wiggle room to come up a little bit, or do we want a smaller house for that payment? Which one works better for you? And I think that also helps our buyers and our borrowers feel like they're part of the process versus just like red light, green light, it's either this or this.
That's the biggest thing. That's the reason I do Zoom calls. And one thing that Mark taught me is because a lot of lenders are like, okay, have the application. I maybe have pay stubs, maybe have pay stubs. And guess what? You're approved. You could go shopping today. Let's go. And then this weekend, just give me documents. And then come Monday, offers accepted. You didn't realize that your buyer has a self-employed job trying to use down payment assistance. Now you have to hit them with a $50,000 a year loss because they claimed it on their taxes. And then you're like, oh, oops, sorry. Or that's just not the reality. Or you didn't do your homework. And I do deals out in Houston, and flood insurance is insane.
It's a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it will kill the deal at the closing table. It will kill the deal for your monthly payment. And so just taking that and having your buyers understand, hey, this is your monthly payment. You want to pay $900 a month? Guess what? You are. But you're also paying your homeowner's insurance, different than a car and car insurance. You're paying your property taxes, so you don't have to write a separate check. And you're paying for your flood insurance.
Yeah.
Sorry, not an option.
Yeah.
But you're going to pay it all together. So does that sound good? Or do you want all of these to be equal to $900? And let's be realistic, because now we're cutting our buying power in like a third.
Yeah.
And being able to put a bow on it to say it's either that or you can continue to rent and you won't get any of this back. I mean, you could probably put any side-by-side comparison of any rental versus any mortgage, and fast forward 2 years, 3 years, you're going to win every time because this is all loss. I mean, just like you mentioned before. So the reason why I started with Barbara on this is because of the second article that I have here. That is kind of a doom and gloom, incredible distortion in our marketplace. 45% of U.S. real estate agents say that they're struggling to pay rent. First thing there that kind of ticks me off a little bit is why the hell are we paying rent as realtors? I get that people fall into certain situations and things of that nature, but I'm an advocate for practicing what I preach. So I advocate for realtors to purchase property whenever and as soon as they possibly can, even if you've got to meet with a lender year one out of having 2 years of tax returns so that they can set you up for success, right? Another bad omen for the housing market, but 2024 could be better. It says homeowners are staying put while new buyers are grappling with persistently high housing costs this year. Inventory is tight and the home sales have hit multiple decade lows. But if you need yet another sign of turmoil, just ask the people whose livelihoods depend on real estate market how they're doing. So I guess it goes into some statistics here. Commercial real estate has outperformed the S&P 500 over 25 years. Blah, 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 blah. Rich young American lost confidence in the stock market. I would have to agree with that. Big savings on your holiday shop.
That's an ad that I'm assuming Yahoo is creating affiliate.
Yeah, they're trying to find a way to connect that. Okay, so according to a monthly report by Alignable, 25% of real estate agents who own their firms said that they had trouble paying rent on their offices. Oh, okay, that would make sense. Lease space.
Yeah.
Offices in November. That's 5% higher than the October, 10% higher than September reading. The numbers don't surprise Corey Burr, Senior Vice President of TTR Sotheby's International Realty, who pointed to recent interest rate hikes driving up mortgage rates and pushing home sales to a low. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I have big thoughts because a different version of this article came out at the beginning of the year because I talked about where it was like, the sky is falling, we can't pay our rent, and number one, news is news. But you know what doesn't sell ad space? Everything's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. And that's the headline. Nobody's going to click on it. So when it's 45% of real estate agents can't pay their rent, it's like at the grocery store where you have, that boy found in New Mexico. You're like, I'm going to flip through that versus nothing wild happened. Nobody's going to pick that up. So number one, recognize the purpose of what this is. And it's to have that ad space for Centex on the side and all the other stuff and to save money on your Christmas shopping.
What would it be like if the ad was, or the article was titled 55% of realtors can't pay their rent?
Exactly.
Not as exciting.
Not as exciting. Number two, we have a very, very modest little co-working space.
Okay.
So for those agents who need to get free of the distraction, but it's not this big, beautiful, like multi-story thing. And I remind my agents because they're like, but this company or this thing has like this, there's 2 floors and a receptionist and a whatever. It's like, when was the last time that you can think of
Remax?
Oh, just the 3 neighbors. I will never say a bad thing about another brokerage. Thank you, Texas Real Estate Commission.
We love you, Tabor.
Yeah. But recognize, when is the last time that a potential home buyer or seller was just like, real estate office, let's go talk to them. Mama, it's 2023.
Yeah.
So no, how many borrowers come in here?
There's no ups.
There isn't. Right. So why are we focused on creating this facade of success and wealth and prosperity when agents don't want to come into the office? They would rather work from home. Also, real estate doesn't happen in an office.
Correct.
It happens out in the field.
That's
so if
correct.
you're an agent and you and your cohorts are sitting in an office in 8 hours a day, you know what that tells me? You're not selling real estate.
I love that.
So yeah, 45%, that's probably who is going to be dropping out because they are so backwards thinking in what real estate is and what our clientele, and that they are more informed and have access to more resources than they did a decade ago, 2 decades ago, 3 decades ago. Why do we need this office space when we don't need to be spending so much money on that as a builder for our business?
Yeah, I agree. I had 2 points here. And the first goes back to the concept of old dogs still doing the same thing, even though everything has changed.
Right.
Whether it's technology, the way and how we work, where we need to be able to work. I mean, honestly, we need access to the internet.
Yeah.
We need our
My
laptop.
computer, my phone, and Wi-Fi.
There you go. The idea of big brokers having a big office is losing its value.
Yeah.
To be honest, unless you're throwing mixers, which in my opinion never get business from anyway. What else would having? I have no idea. We downsized our office back in November. Operations works from home. Loan officers come and go when they need to. We have our meetings here, but we're now operating at a 3,000 square foot space, and it's probably still a little too much, to be honest. Then the second piece to that is, do you think that commercial real estate is going to take a dive here in the near future? It's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Because you can always convert things to other things.
Right.
But those things, for example, if you've got all of these buildings that used to be valued at X per month because there were actual people in there that then convert to, we'll call it storage. Now, it's not going to have the same value as it did prior to.
Yeah. And, coming out of COVID, and we recognize that we don't have to work in the same way that we did before. The job that I had even before getting into real estate, my company was based out of Denver, Colorado. I telecommuted for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
So very comfortable with it. Doubled the business in 5 years, never stepping foot in an office. I traveled from time to time when that was necessary. And so recognizing what is necessary to continue to sustain and hopefully grow and scale your business, and what are the things that are honestly really for appearances more than anything. So again, am I psychic? Do I know what's going to happen? If I was, I'd quit real estate and just play the lottery. Take this for what you will, but recognizing that, I think we're going to see, I don't think we're going to see a growth in like that commercial value. We may see a nice little plateau, which would be fantastic. But even in the building where we have, I think our space is 500 square feet. And so, we've got 3 or 4 agents who pop in, make calls, whatever they want to do, or come work with me when they need help. And that suits us fine. I'm going to say 30 agents.
Sure.
Shows you how few actually want to come in and would prefer to do things where it makes sense for them. Yeah. Exactly. Even in our building, we're starting to see like more and more just empty offices.
Yeah.
And I see no need to expand beyond our little 500 square feet, at least not right now, because the need for what we do isn't there. And I'm so glad that I didn't invest in 2,000, 3,000 square feet because why? So, we see it, for lease lines all the time.
Sure.
And it can convert to other things. I think we're going to start to see not only in the real estate sector, but in just corporate America, more co-working spaces, these drop-in spaces where you can, rent a little office for a couple $100 a month that you can, come in and use as you see fit, share a conference room that you book ahead of time, versus us all being so very separate.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're moving to.
Pretty efficient.
And if I had money to invest in a commercial space, that's exactly what I would have.
Totally do the same. Yes.
Yeah. Come at me if you want to co-invest in this.
I love it. Okay. So I guess last question before we close this out. And it has to do with the concept of these rates dropping. We know why business has slowed down. There's no secrets. Interest rates go up, affordability goes down.
Right.
The intent behind that is to slow everything down from an economic standpoint. But what we've seen in real estate is a halt, not a retraction.
Right.
And I think experts, I was watching a podcast yesterday where the guy said, I was wrong. There's no crash. I don't see it coming.
Yeah.
I don't see indications of it coming. We were wrong. A year ago when we did this rate thing, we were intending for everything to kind of drop and slow down. It's just not happening.
Right.
Why? Because people aren't selling their homes. They're not leaving their low rates to go and juggle or trade in laterally.
Right.
So that being the case, would you say that it's factual if rates drop that prices are going to continue to rise? Basically going along with what Barbara was saying.
Yeah. I think we will see a little bit of an increase, or maybe not even an increase, but just we have these horses at the gate that are like ready to go do a thing. And whether it's reality or perception, they're like, let me wait for the market to do this thing. So I think what we may see is a return to the multiple offer situation, which may not increase list price, but increase closing price.
Which is directly correlated with the value of properties. A lot of folks are saying values are dropping. No, sales prices are dropping because they were already high and higher than what they were.
Well, and we also saw, during this peak, firestorm of houses hitting the market and going off the market just as quickly, that we were seeing, like you said, this, over inflation of home prices because supply and demand at its core. So we saw probably a 20% increase between end of 2019 and summer of 2022, where normally we see maybe 6 to 8%. So it did this. So we're just waiting for those lines to get to where they were normally. So people are like, house prices are dropping, or we're not seeing an increase in our value. And it's like, oh, your increase in value came last year.
Right.
And so we're just trying to play catch up to where it would go back to that normal, like over a 5-year span, that 6 to 8 year over year sort of thing. So you're just ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
So when we can look a little bit in the future, but also really take into account the past and not just this little snapshot view. And I think that's why we're starting to see more buyers come back, because that 2 and 3% feels like such a distant memory.
It is. I agree.
Versus March, when it was like last week it was 3%, and now I'm at 4%, and now I'm at 5%. They're still waiting for this thing.
The brain is catching up.
Now exactly. Now they're just like, oh yeah, it's just the same as it was. We tend to look in a very narrow view, but when we can look big picture, it really paints this idea of what am I doing today that I can look forward to in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever that means to that individual.
I agree. I like that. Well, Stephanie, Nicole, this has been good. You guys have anything else that you would like to add? Let our listeners, our viewers know, maybe in way of advice, something like I normally say that they can take to the bank and cash.
Yeah, absolutely. The best advice that I can give to an agent right now, there's a lot of just fear. And that's if I can make an agent confident and get rid of their fear, that's 90% of my job. Don't be afraid to not be perfect. Nobody wants to work with perfect. Nobody wants to work with, like a realtor that got built out of a kit, like from IKEA. Exactly. Build an agent. I'll invest in that as well with my co-working space. But go out and be authentically you. And again, don't leave anything on the table. Make sure that you are keeping your client's interest at heart, being a true advocate for your clients, helping them do exactly what they want to do, and recognizing that, even if you're brand new, even if you just passed your test last week, you have, at least in Texas, 180 hours of education that the general public doesn't have. Recognize what you have accomplished so far and let that carry you forward.
Absolutely. You had mentioned something earlier. It had to do with perfect is something. Perfect is false. Or
Yeah, perfect doesn't exist. Perfect is really boring.
Okay, touche. I like that. I think we're going to name that this episode. But Nicole, is there anything that you wanted to add?
I think the biggest thing for buyers is to understand your potential, because you can't compare yourself. No offense, but you can't compare yourself to the Joneses, right? Because it's just not. It's not reality. Yeah. But if you have the urge to want to see what you can do in this market, explore it, because it's free. It's not going to cost you anything. And it's education, and knowledge is power, and knowledge is something that people can't take away from you. What's not knowledge is the Google machine, because what you put in is what you're going to get out 100% of the time.
Absolutely.
If you want to tell me, if I want to find out why it's a bad time to buy, I can find out. But if I want to find out why it's the best time to buy, I can also find out. So just take life like a grain of salt and don't take it too seriously, but also consult and confer with the experts and get multiple opinions and make your own decisions. Don't let your neighbor Joe tell you that a home is worth X amount, because what does Joe do? Does Joe work at Costco?
Joe's never going to give you the full story.
Exactly.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining this.
Thank you.
That was a great discussion. I think we got quite a bit out of that. Definitely one that has some factual data with some opinions that are backed up with facts. So for those of you out there listening, I believe in this episode, in this discussion, we talked a lot about the needle moving activities that you should be doing. If you are focusing on publicity versus putting your head down and getting to work, you may be left behind. It may already be too late for you. But if you are in this game for the long haul, you will find a way. You will start implementing systems. You'll start becoming more efficient. You'll become an advocate for the American dream, which is homeownership. And I think that you looking yourself in the mirror and being able to commit to being your actual career is the first step. So that being the case, guys, thank you for joining. Make sure to like, subscribe, share with a friend. You never know who could need this information. But until then, we will catch you on the next one.